My phone buzzed against the nightstand at 6:47 a.m., and I already knew what it said before I opened my eyes. Harlow and Witt, summer analyst offer. Congratulations. The same 3 words that had ruined my life 2 years ago, delivered to my inbox on the exact same Tuesday, at the exact same minute, because the universe had apparently decided to give me a do-over with the worst possible timing that I grabbed the phone and stared at the screen, my thumb already moving to delete the email before my brain caught up. The bathroom door was creaking open down the hall. Lily's bathroom. Lily's footsteps. Lily's voice humming that stupid Taylor Swift song she always played on repeat when she was about to do something evil. I deleted the email. Then I deleted it from the trash folder. Then I opened my settings and turned off all email notifications, because I was not going to let her see that golden envelope pop up on my lock screen while I was brushing my teeth that the bedroom door swung open without a knock. Morning, sleepyhead. Lily's face appeared in the crack, all glowing skin and perfect teeth, and that smile she wore like a weapon. Did you sleep okay? You looked so restless last night. I sat up and rubbed my eyes, playing the part of the exhausted little cousin, who couldn't possibly have anything interesting going on. Just nervous about applications. You know how it is. Oh honey. She pushed the door wider and stepped inside, already dressed in a cream-colored blouse that I knew cost more than my entire wardrobe. She'd worn it to her own interview last year, the one she'd lied her way into at the boutique firm downtown. You can't let these things stress you out. What happens, happens. There's always next year. There was not always next year. I knew that because I'd lived through the year after she stole my offer, the one where I spent 8 months in a temp agency cubicle watching her Instagram stories from the Harlow and Witt Christmas party, her arm around my former mentor, her caption reading "So grateful for this family I've found." I swung my legs out of bed and grabbed my robe. You're right. I'm probably overthinking everything. Did you hear back from any of your places yet? She flinched, just barely. Not yet. But I have a good feeling about the financial district firms. They seem like they appreciate drive. Drive meant lying. It always did that. I moved past her into the hallway, and I felt her eyes on my back, scanning my phone in my hand, my laptop bag on the floor, my desk scattered with papers. She was looking for something. She was always looking. The kitchen smelled like burnt toast and cheap coffee, our mom's signature send-off before work. I poured myself a mug and sat down at the table, pulling out my other phone from my robe pocket. The burner. The one Lily didn't know existed because I'd bought it 3 days after I woke up in this timeline, still shaking from the memory of her laugh echoing down the 27th floor hallway. I texted Marcus Chun. Ready when you are. His reply came in 3 seconds. Send me the data by noon. Partner review tomorrow. I put the burner face down on the table and took a long sip of coffee. My hands were steady. My heart was not. So, Lily said, sliding into the chair across from me with her own mug. What's on your agenda today? More applications. I saw that mid-sized firm in the arts district is still taking submissions. I'm actually doing some freelance work, I said, keeping my tone light. Data entry stuff. Keeps me busy. Her eyebrows shot up. Data entry, Jenna, you have a degree from a top 10 school. You shouldn't be wasting your time on. On what? I met her eyes over the rim of my mug. On paying rent, on building experience. Some of us don't have connections, Lily. The word hung in the air like a slap. She had connections. She had our uncle's college roommate who knew a managing director at Goldman. She had our aunt's neighbor whose daughter-in-law worked in PE. She had everything I'd never had, and she'd still tried to take the one thing I'd earned myself. Her smile tightened. I was just trying to help. You don't have to bite my head off. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her by that cream-colored blouse and shake her until the truth fell out of her pockets. But I'd done that in my head 1,000 times in my previous life, and it had never changed anything. It had only made me look crazy, bitter, jealous. Exactly what she wanted. Sorry, I said, softening my voice. I'm just on edge. You know how competitive things are right now. Sometimes I feel like everyone's out to get me. She reached across the table and patted my hand, her fingers cold against my skin. No one's out to get you, Jenna. We're family. We look out for each other. Like you looked out for me when you forwarded my offer to your own email and changed my confirmation date so HR thought I'd missed the deadline. I pulled my hand away and stood up. I've got to get to the library before it fills up. I'll see you tonight. I grabbed my laptop bag and my regular phone and my burner phone and my keys, and I walked out the door before she could ask any more questions. The stairwell was dark and smelled like mildew, but I took the stairs instead of the elevator because I needed the burn. I needed to feel something real. Outside, the city was waking up, gray and cold and indifferent. I walked 3 blocks to the coffee shop where Marcus had agreed to meet me, the one with the terrible acoustics and the stale pastries, the one where no one from Harlow and Whit would ever set foot. He was already there in the back corner, scrolling through his phone, looking as tired as I felt. "You're early," he said without looking up. "I'm always early." I slid into the seat across from him and pulled out my burner. I have 12 years of quarterly data on the commercial real estate sector, cross-referenced with occupancy rates and vacancy cycles. I also have a list of every major player in the tri-state area, including their acquisition patterns and their preferred leverage ratios. You want it, it's yours. He finally looked up, and there was something sharp in his eyes. "You're not a data entry freelancer, are you? Does it matter? I have what you need. You have what I want." He leaned back in his chair and studied me for a long moment. "The offer is contingent on the partner's approval. If the data is solid, you're in. If it's not, you walk away with nothing. No HR, no paper trail, no record that any of this happened." "Understood, understood." I slid the USB drive across the table, and he took it without looking at it. The deal was done. On my way out of the coffee shop, my regular phone buzzed in my pocket. Lily's name lit up the screen. Asterisk, "Did you leave your laptop open? I saw an email notification from Harlow and Whit. Did you hear back from them?" Asterisk, my blood turned to ice. I'd forgotten to close my laptop. I'd been so focused on the burner, on Marcus, on the data, that I'd left my personal laptop open on the kitchen table with the Harlow and Whit acceptance still sitting in my inbox. "Trash." I typed back with shaking fingers. Asterisk, "No. I didn't get anything. Maybe it was spam." Asterisk. The 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Deleting. Typing again. And then, asterisk, "Okay. Just checking. You know I'd be so happy for you if you got something. I'd never want to take that away from you." Asterisk. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned, and I didn't know if she was mocking me or if she genuinely didn't know about the email. She couldn't have seen it. I'd deleted it. I'd deleted the trash. There was nothing left. But there was always something left. There was always Lily. I made it to the library and found a cubicle in the deepest corner, away from the windows and the doors and the eyes of the world. I sat down and opened my laptop and stared at my inbox. The Harlow and Whit folder was empty. The trash folder was empty. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. And yet I remembered a detail I'd forgotten in my previous life. A detail that had cost me everything. Lily had a keylogger on my laptop. She'd installed it when we were 18, when we shared a computer for our college applications. I'd found it eventually, but not before she'd changed my essay topics, my recommenders, my entire application timeline. She'd said it was a prank. She'd laughed and called me paranoid. I opened my task manager and scrolled through the processes. There it was. The same name I remembered, the one I'd missed the first time because I was too busy crying about the stolen offer to check my system logs. She'd seen the email. She'd seen it the moment I deleted it. She knew about Harlow and Whit. She knew about the offer. And she was already planning her next move. I closed my laptop and pressed my forehead against the cold wood of the desk, and I felt the first real smile spread across my face since I'd woken up in this timeline. Let her plant her keyloggers and forward my emails and change my passwords and sabotage my references. Let her burn every bridge she thought I needed. Because this time, I was building my own road. And she couldn't follow me there. I spent the next 48 hours watching Lily watch me. She thought she was subtle. The way she hovered by my laptop when I went to the bathroom. The way she asked about my freelance work, with just a little too much interest. The way her fingers twitched toward my phone every time I set it down on the kitchen counter. She was like a cat circling a bowl of cream, pretending she wasn't hungry while her pupils dilated with want. I let her look. I let her search. I even left my laptop open a few times with fake documents labeled Harlow and Whit, offer acceptance draft and contract negotiation notes. I watched her read them from the hallway mirror while I brushed my teeth, her lips moving silently as she absorbed every word I'd fabricated. She didn't know the real offer had already been accepted through a back channel. She didn't know Marcus Chen had forwarded my data to the partner and gotten a verbal confirmation within 4 hours. She didn't know that my name was already in the system, not as an applicant, but as a pre-approved hire with a start date 2 weeks from Monday, that what she knew was what I wanted her to know. That I had something and she didn't, and she was desperate enough to steal it again. Thursday night. She knocked on my door at 11 with 2 glasses of wine, the same peace offering she'd used in my previous life, the one I'd taken gratefully while she rifled through my desk drawers. This time I took the wine, set it on my nightstand and waited. "So," she said, settling onto the edge of my bed with practiced ease, "I've been thinking. You've been so stressed lately. Why don't we do something fun this weekend, just us like old times?" I sat at my desk, swiveling my chair to face her. "What did you have in mind?" she shrugged, feigning casual. "Maybe that spa in the city. The one with the salt caves. I know you've been wanting to go. My treat. My treat." She'd used that exact phrase in my previous life, right before she distracted me with a day of facials and cucumber water so she could call my contact at Harlow and Witt and tell them I'd accepted another offer. By the time I got home, my internship was gone, and she was already drafting her acceptance email. I smiled. "That sounds amazing. But I can't this weekend. I have some freelance deadlines." Her face fell for a fraction of a second before she recovered. "Oh, okay. Maybe next weekend, maybe." I picked up the wine glass and swirled it, watching the dark liquid cling to the sides. "You know, Lily, I've been thinking about something. About how we never really talk about our applications. I mean, I tell you everything. Every rejection, every interview, every anxious email. But you never really tell me anything." She stiffened. "I tell you plenty." "Do you?" I set the glass down and leaned forward. "Because I heard a rumor that you got an interview at Harlow and Witt. And you didn't mention it. I had to find out from Mom." The color drained from her face. "That wasn't an interview. It was just a coffee chat. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it if nothing came of it." "Nothing came of it," I tilted my head. "That's funny. I heard they rejected you. Something about a verification issue." She was on her feet in an instant, her wine sloshing over the rim of her glass. "Who told you that?" "Does it matter?" I stood up too, keeping my voice calm and even. "Lily, I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying if there's something going on with your applications, you can tell me. We're family, right? We look out for each other." I threw her own words back at her, and I watched them land like a slap. She set her wine glass on my desk with a trembling hand. "I'm going to bed. We can talk about this in the morning." She left without closing my door. I heard her stomp down the hall and slam her own door, and I heard the lock click into place. I sat back down at my desk and opened my laptop. The keylogger was still there, humming along in the background, sending every keystroke to an email address I'd already identified and blocked from my side. But I didn't remove it. I wanted her to keep watching. I wanted her to see exactly what I wanted her to see. I typed a new document and saved it as Project Timeline. I filled it with fake dates, fake meetings, fake contact names, all of it leading to a fake offer from a fake firm in a fake city. I even created a fake email thread with a fake HR director, complete with fake signature blocks and fake deadlines. If Lily wanted to steal something from me, she was going to steal garbage. The next morning, my mother called while I was making coffee. "Jenna, honey, I just got the strangest text from Lily. She said you've been acting weird and accused her of something." "What happened?" I poured cream into my mug and stirred slowly. "Nothing happened, Mom. We just had a little disagreement. She's been stressed about her applications, and I think she took something I said the wrong way." "Oh, that poor girl. She's always so hard on herself. Can you try to be nicer to her? She looks up to you, you know." I almost choked on my coffee. She looked up to me. She'd been sabotaging me since we were 14, but sure, she looked up to me. "I'll try, Mom." I hung up and heard Lily's door creak open behind me. She shuffled into the kitchen in her pajamas, her eyes red-rimmed and puffy, the picture of wounded innocence. She'd probably been crying all night, or at least practicing her crying face in the mirror. "Hey," she said softly. "I'm sorry about last night. I was just tired and I took everything the wrong way." I didn't mean to get defensive. She was good. I had to give her that. It's okay, I said. I shouldn't have pushed. I know you've been under a lot of pressure. She nodded and poured herself a cup of coffee, and we stood in the kitchen in awkward silence, two women pretending we weren't at war. Then she said, "You know, I've been thinking about that spa weekend. I really do want to take you. It would be good for both of us. We've been cooped up in this apartment for weeks, stressing about things we can't control." I looked at her over the rim of my mug. She was nervous. I could see it in the way she kept touching her earring, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes. She needed me out of the apartment for a full day. She needed access to my things without me hovering. "Actually," I said, setting down my mug, "I can do Sunday. My deadlines got pushed back." Her face lit up with a relief she couldn't quite hide. "Really, that's perfect. I'll book it first thing." She scurried back to her room with her phone, and I heard her already making the reservations. That I finished my coffee and went back to my room. I opened my laptop and pulled up the fake timeline document. Then I opened my browser and cleared my history, my cache, my cookies. I logged out of every account and uninstalled every app. Then I opened a new email draft and started typing. "Dear Mr. Chun, thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to starting on the 15th. Please let me know if there's anything else you need before then." I didn't send it. I left it sitting in my drafts, visible to any keylogger that happened to be watching. Then I opened another window and searched for something I'd been avoiding. Lily's personal email address, the one she used for her side projects, the one she'd used to forward my Harlow and Wit offer in my previous life. I found it in an old thread from a family reunion. I created a new account, a throwaway with a fake name and a fake photo. I drafted a short message. "I know what you did. I have the receipts. If you want to keep your current job, you'll back off my sister." I didn't send that either. I saved it and closed the window. By the time Sunday came, I'd prepared every piece of the chessboard. I'd packed my spa bag with sunscreen and slippers and a fake smile. I'd left my laptop open on my desk with the fake timeline, and the draft email, and the burner phone hidden under my pillow. I'd even left my regular phone on the kitchen counter, set to do not disturb. Lily drove us to the city in her little silver sedan, chattering about salt caves and seaweed wraps, and all the ways we were going to relax and reconnect. I nodded along and watched the buildings blur past the window. She thought she was taking me out, that she was letting me in. The spa was all muted lighting and soft music, and the smell of lavender. They took our phones at the front desk, tucked them into little lockers with velvet bags. Lily smiled at the attendant and thanked her sweetly, and I watched her eyes scan the locker room, cataloging every exit, every camera, every potential witness. We changed into fluffy robes and met in the salt cave, where the walls were made of pink Himalayan bricks, and the floor was covered in fine white crystals. We lay on reclining chairs and listened to wind chimes and pretended we were sisters who loved each other. "I really am sorry about the other night," Lily said, her voice echoing slightly in the enclosed space. "I know I can get defensive. I just feel like everyone's always competing with me, like I have to prove myself all the time." I turned my head to look at her. "I know exactly what you mean." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "I'm glad we're doing this. I feel like we haven't been close in a while. And I miss that. I miss my best friend." I squeezed back. "Me too." We spent the next hour in silence, breathing in salt and pretending we were healing. I let my mind drift to what was happening back at the apartment. I'd planted a hidden camera in my room, pointed directly at my laptop. I'd also planted one in the hallway, one in the kitchen, and one in the living room. I'd been preparing for this day since the moment I woke up in this timeline. When we finally emerged from the salt cave, pink-cheeked and relaxed, I checked my burner phone under the table while Lily was ordering smoothies at the juice bar. The camera feed was active. There she was, on my phone screen, in my bedroom, dressed in her yoga pants and a baggy sweater. She was sitting at my desk, scrolling through my laptop, her face lit by the glow of the screen. She was reading the fake timeline. She was nodding to herself, like she'd found what she was looking for. She closed the laptop and opened my desk drawer. She pulled out a notepad and copied something down. She was looking for addresses, I realized. Contact names. Ways to intercept my fake offer. I watched her for a full minute, And then she did something I hadn't expected, that she pulled out her own phone and took a picture of my laptop screen, that then she opened an app one didn't recognize and started typing furiously. Her face was focused, intense, all the softness from the spa gone. I zoomed in on the camera feed, trying to read the app she was using. It was encrypted. I didn't recognize the interface, but I recognized the name at the top of the screen. Asterisk dark webmail. Asterisk. I put the burner phone down and stared at the juice bar menu without seeing it. I'd known she was capable of lying. I'd known she was capable of stealing. But this was something else. This was a whole new level of premeditated destruction. Lily came back with 2 green smoothies and handed me one. Everything okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I took the smoothie and forced a smile. Just tired. The salt caves really knocked me out. She laughed and sat down across from me. See, I told you this was good for us. We should do this more often. Just you and me, no distractions. I nodded and sipped my smoothie, but all I could think about was that encrypted app and the picture she'd taken of my laptop. Whatever she was planning, it was bigger than I'd anticipated. She wasn't just trying to steal my offer. She was trying to destroy me. The encrypted app burned in my mind for the rest of the day, through the seaweed wrap and the facial and the drive back home with Lily singing off-key to the radio. She was relaxed, almost giddy, like she'd already won something. I watched her hands on the steering wheel, her nails freshly painted, her wedding ring finger bare and twitching with nervous energy. By the time we pulled into the parking garage, I had a plan. Lily, I said, unbuckling my seatbelt. I forgot to ask. How's that side project you were working on? The one with the research reports. She froze for a half second. What side project? You mentioned it a few weeks ago. Something about data aggregation. I thought it sounded really interesting. She recovered quickly. Oh, that. It's just a little thing. Nothing serious. Maybe I could help you with it. I've been doing a lot of freelance data work, and I could use a project that actually matters. She parked the car and killed the engine, and we sat in the sudden silence of the garage. I appreciate that, she said carefully. But I think I need to do this one on my own. You know how it is. Some things you just have to figure out yourself. He nodded like he understood. But I was already running through the footage in my head. Her face illuminated by my laptop screen. That encrypted app, the photo she'd taken. She wasn't doing research. She was building a case against me. That night, I waited until I heard her door click shut. Then I pulled out my burner and started digging. Dark webmail was a no-logs email service, untraceable by design. It was the kind of tool people used when they didn't want anyone to know what they were sending or receiving. The kind of tool you used when you were planning something illegal. I opened a browser window and searched for dark webmail's reputation. What I found made my stomach drop. The service had been linked to multiple identity theft rings. It was used by people who trafficked in stolen documents, forged credentials, fake references. It was the kind of platform that could ruin someone's career with a single well-crafted email. And Lily was using it to take photos of my laptop. That I sat back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. I thought I was playing chess. She was playing nuclear war. The next morning, I woke up before dawn and slipped out of the apartment with my burner, and my regular phone, and a bag of cash I'd been saving from my freelancing. I took the subway to a neighborhood I'd never visited in my previous life, a stretch of old storefronts and unmarked doors where people paid in cash, and asked no questions. The tech shop was in the back of a laundromat, behind a curtain of plastic beads. The man behind the counter had a patchy beard, and hands that trembled when he typed. I slid $100 bill across the counter, and described what I needed. Keyloggers are old school, he said, scratching his chin. You want to catch someone using encryption, you need something that records screen activity, not just keystrokes. I got a USB stick with a hidden camera and a transmitter. Costs more than $100. I pulled out 3 more bills. I need it today. He pocketed the cash and handed me a small device that looked like a standard flash drive. Plug it into her computer for 30 seconds. That's all. It'll transmit to your phone every 5 minutes. You'll see everything she types, everything she clicks, every window she opens. But you didn't get it from me. I pocketed the device and walked back through the laundromat, past the spinning dryers and the exhausted mothers folding tiny clothes. I felt like I was in a movie, a bad one. The kind where the heroine makes terrible decisions and ends up in a ditch. But I'd already been in a ditch. Lily had put me there. And I wasn't going back. I got home just as Lily was waking up. She was in the kitchen making her morning smoothie, her hair still wet from the shower. "You're up early," she said, eyeing me suspiciously. "Couldn't sleep. Just went for a walk," I said. "It's nice out. You should get some fresh air sometime." She laughed, short and sharp. "I don't have time for fresh air. I have too much to do." I could practically see the gears turning in her head. Whatever she had planned, it was consuming her. She was barely eating, barely sleeping. Her eyes had dark circles she was trying to hide with concealer. I made myself a cup of tea and sat at the kitchen table, watching her blend kale and spinach and some kind of protein powder. She was careful about her health. She was careful about everything except the truth. "When's your next coffee chat?" I asked casually. "The one with the financial firm." She paused the blender. "I don't have any coffee chats scheduled." "Oh, I thought you mentioned something." Maybe it was another alum. She resumed blending, but her jaw was tight. "Why are you so interested in my career all of a sudden?" "Because I'm your cousin," I said, keeping my voice light. "Because you're my family. Because I want to see you succeed." She stopped the blender and stared at me. There was something new in her eyes. Something I hadn't seen before in either timeline. Feared she was scared of me. "Okay," she said slowly. "Well, I've got a lot of work to do. I'll be in my room if you need me." She took her smoothie and disappeared down the hall. I heard her door close, heard the lock click into place. I waited 30 minutes. Then I slipped into the bathroom we shared. The one with the cabinet that wasn't locked. The one where she kept her laptop bag when she wasn't using it. The bag was unzipped. Her laptop was inside, still warm. I pulled out the USB stick and plugged it into her port. 30 seconds. 29. 28. The little green light blinked once, twice, 3 times. Then I unplugged it, zipped the bag and left the bathroom exactly as I'd found it. By the time she emerged from her room at noon, I was back at my desk, typing furiously on a document I didn't care about. "I'm going to the library," she announced. "I'll be back later tonight." "I might go see Mom for dinner," I said. "Want me to bring you anything?" "No," she said too quickly. "I'll grab something while I'm out." She left with her laptop bag and her phone and that smug little smile that made me want to scream. I waited until I heard the front door click shut. Then I opened the app connected to the USB stick. I expected passwords. I expected emails. I expected the usual paper trail of her sabotage. What I saw made me drop my phone. She had a spreadsheet. A color-coded, meticulously organized spreadsheet with columns labeled Target, Vulnerability, Exploit, Timeline, Backup Plan. My name was at the top. Under Vulnerability, she'd listed freelance work, undisclosed income, no HR record, possible fraud. Under Exploit, she'd written Report to Harlow and Witt, claim identity theft, demand investigation, destroy reputation. Under Backup Plan, she'd written forge her signature, submit resignation, assume internship. She was going to report me. She was going to tell my new employer that I was a fraud, that I'd forged my credentials, that I'd somehow stolen the job from her through illegal means. She was going to destroy me before I even started. I scrolled down the spreadsheet. There were other names too. Her ex-boyfriend, a former colleague, a professor who'd given her a bad grade. She had files on all of them. And then I saw the last column. Final outcome. Acquire full-time position at Harlow and Witt. Eliminate competition. My hands were shaking. I closed the app and stared at the wall. I'd been so focused on protecting my offer that I hadn't considered she might go after my entire career. She wasn't just trying to steal the internship. She was trying to make sure I never worked in finance again. I was halfway through composing a message to Marcus Chun when a notification popped up from my regular email. Harlow and Witt background verification. My blood went cold. They were running my background check. Standard procedure. But what if she'd already contacted them? What if she'd already planted the seed of doubt? I opened the email with trembling fingers. Dear Ms. Chan. As part of our standard onboarding process, we are verifying your academic credentials and employment history. Please provide the following documents by the end of the week. It was normal. It was routine. But I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd been ahead of me the whole time. I called Marcus. Jenna, he said, his voice rough with sleep. It's 7 in the morning. I know. I'm sorry. But I need to ask you something. Did anyone from HR mention anything about my background check, any irregularities? There was a pause. No. Why, just nerves, I said. First job. You know how it is. He grunted. Get your documents in by Friday. And stop worrying. You're a shoo-in. I hung up and stared at my phone. A shoo-in. That's what they called it when they were about to screw you over. I opened the app again and refreshed the feed from Lily's laptop. She was typing something, her fingers moving fast across the keyboard that I watched the words appear in real time. *2 HR@harlowit.com *, subject. Urgent. Misrepresentation of credentials *, Dear Harlow and Witt team, *, it has come to my attention that an individual claiming to be a candidate for your summer analyst program may have submitted fraudulent documents and falsified references. I have attached evidence of this individual's misrepresentation. Please consider this a formal complaint. *. She'd attached documents. I couldn't see what they were. But I knew they were designed to destroy me. I watched her hit send. The world went very quiet. I thought about calling her. I thought about texting my mother. I thought about all the things I should have done differently, all the ways I could have prevented this. But that was the old Jenna talking. The old Jenna would have cried. The old Jenna would have panicked. I opened my own email and typed *2 Marcus.chen@harlowit.com *, subject. Onboarding documents *. Hi Marcus. I just received a notification that someone may be filing a complaint about my background. I wanted to get ahead of this before it becomes a problem. I've attached my verified transcripts, my reference letters, and my identity documents. Please forward these to HR and inform them that any complaints about me should be treated as harassment. *, I've dealt with this before. I know how to handle it. *, best, Jenna *, I attached the documents. I hit send. And I waited. My phone buzzed a minute later. Then again. 3 emails from Harlow and Witt HR. Your documents have been received. Your background check is clear. Your offer has been confirmed. Welcome to the team. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. She'd sent her complaint. HR had seen it. And they'd already chosen me. I walked to Lily's room. I opened her door without knocking. The bed was unmade. Her laptop was open on the desk. Her phone was face up on the pillow. And there, on her phone screen, was a notification I'd never seen in my previous life. Complaint rejected. False allegations. The notification on Lily's phone was still glowing when she walked through the front door 2 hours later, her arms full of grocery bags and her face arranged in that careful mask of normalcy she wore like a second skin. I was sitting on the couch in the living room, my laptop open on my knees, the burner phone hidden under my thigh. I watched her kick off her shoes and carry the bags into the kitchen, humming that same Taylor Swift song. And I felt something crack open in my chest. She didn't know. She'd sent the email and she'd waited for the reply, and she'd seen the rejection notification flash across her screen, but she still thought she was winning. She still thought she had timed it. Lily, I called out, keeping my voice steady. Come here for a second. She poked her head around the kitchen doorway. What's up? I've got chicken to put in the fridge. Just come here. She walked over and dropped onto the armchair across from me, tucking her legs under her body like she was settling in for a cozy chat. The look on her face was almost smug. She was waiting for me to break. She was waiting for me to cry and confess and hand over everything she'd already tried to take. Did you have a good day? I asked. Fine. Busy. You know how it is. I actually don't. Why don't you tell me what you did today? Her smile flickered. I told you. I went to the library. I ran some errands. I got groceries. Why are you being so weird? Because I know you sent an email to Harlow and Witt this morning. I know you filed a complaint about my credentials. And I know they rejected it within 5 minutes. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. Her hand shot out and grabbed the arm of the chair, her knuckles going white. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't do that. I said, leaning forward. Don't lie to me. Not now. Not after everything. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. For a moment, she looked almost human. Almost sorry. Then her eyes hardened and she stood up, towering over me like she could intimidate her way out of this. You don't have proof of anything, she said. You can't prove I sent anything. You can't prove I did anything. I reached under my thigh and pulled out the burner phone. I opened the app and turned the screen toward her. The live feed from her laptop filled the display, showing her desk, her keyboard, her hands moving across the keys. The timestamp in the corner matched exactly the time she'd sent the complaint. Her face went from white to gray. I've been watching you for weeks, I said. I've seen everything. The keylogger on my laptop. The photos of my screen. The encrypted email account. The spreadsheet where you planned to destroy my career. She took a step back, her eyes darting toward the front door. Then toward the kitchen. Then toward her room. She was looking for an exit. She was looking for a way to spin this. Jenna, she said, her voice breaking into that syrupy sweet tone she used when she was cornered. You're overreacting. I didn't mean any harm. I was trying to protect myself. You don't know what it's like to be in my position. You don't know how hard it is. I don't know what it's like. I stood up and walked toward her, and she backed away until her shoulders hit the wall. I've been living in your shadow since we were 12. You took my friends. You took my confidence. You took my first job. And now you're trying to take my future. What don't I understand? She had the audacity to look offended. I never took anything from you. Everything I have I earned. Earned, I laughed, and it came out bitter and broken. You earned nothing. You cheated. You lied. You stole. And you did it all while smiling at me and calling me your best friend. People do what they have to do to survive, she shot back. You've always been so naive, Jenna. You think the world is fair. You think hard work is enough. It's not. It's never been. And you would have learned that eventually, even if I hadn't shown you. I'd expected denial. I'd expected deflection. I hadn't expected justification. You really believe that? I said slowly. You really believe you were helping me? I was protecting myself, she said again. It's not my fault you were in the way. The words hung between us like a blade. I'd spent my previous life hating her for what she'd done. I'd spent this life planning my revenge. But I'd never really understood what drove her. That it wasn't jealousy. It wasn't ambition. It was pure, unadulterated self-preservation. She would have done the same thing to anyone. I just happened to be the closest. Where do you think you're going? I asked as she tried to edge past me. Nowhere, she said. I'm just going to my room. You're not going anywhere until we finish this conversation. She stopped and turned back to me. Her eyes blazing with rage. She'd finally stopped hiding. What do you want from me? Jenna, do you want me to beg? Do you want me to cry? Do you want me to apologize? Because I won't. I don't regret anything I've done. You were competition, and I eliminated you. That's the way the world works. Except you didn't eliminate me, I said. I'm still here. I still have the job. And now I have everything I need to destroy you. She laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. What are you going to do? Send my spreadsheet to our mother? Tell our aunts and uncles that I'm a liar? Everyone already knows I'm ambitious. They'll just say you're jealous. I could send it to your boss. I could send it to the bar association. I could send it to every firm in the city and make sure you never work in finance again. Her smile faltered. You wouldn't. Try me. She stared at me for a long moment, and I watched the calculations behind her eyes. She was trying to figure out if I was bluffing. She was trying to figure out how much damage I could actually do. She was trying to figure out if she still had any leverage left. And then her expression shifted. Something cold and calculating slid into place. You know, Jenna, if you'd done this in the beginning, I might have believed you. But you've been playing games with me this whole time. You've been lying to me, hiding things from me, leading me on while you built your little case. That's not a victim. That's a predator. What are you talking about? She walked back to the armchair and sat down, crossing her legs and folding her hands in her lap like a queen holding court. I'm talking about the fact that you're not innocent in any of this. You knew what I was doing. You knew, and you let me keep doing it. You set traps for me. You baited me. You manipulated me. And now you're standing here pretending to be the wounded party. I was protecting myself. Sure you were. But so was I. The only difference is I was honest about it. I opened my mouth to argue, but I stopped. She was twisting the narrative. She was making herself the victim, the one who'd been tricked and led astray by her scheming cousin. And the worst part was she almost believed it. Your ethics are a mess, I said finally. You can't see anything except yourself. Maybe not. But I can see you. And I can see that you're just as ruthless as I am. You just hide it better. You pretend to be the good one, the kind one, the one who would never hurt anyone. But you've been planning this since the day you got that offer. You've been playing me like a fiddle. I didn't answer. Because she was right. I had been planning this. I had been manipulating her. I had been everything she accused me of being. Except I had the moral high ground of knowing what she'd done in a past life she didn't even remembered. But that moral high ground felt shaky all of a sudden. What do you want? I asked, tired now. You want to walk away? You want me to pretend like none of this happened? I want you to think about what you're doing, she said, leaning forward. You're about to start your dream job. You're on the verge of everything you've ever wanted. And you're going to throw it all away, because you can't let go of some old grudge. Because you can't stand the thought of me being anywhere near your success. I'm not the one who keeps dragging you into my life. You're the one who couldn't let me have anything. She stood up and walked toward me, her face inches from mine. I didn't ask to be your cousin. I didn't ask to be compared to you at every family dinner. I didn't ask to be the one who had to fight for everything, while you got handed everything on a silver platter. Handed, I sputtered. You think I was handed anything? You think any of this came easy to me? Yes, she said simply. You have no idea how lucky you are. You have no idea how hard it is to be the one who always has to prove herself. The one who was told she wasn't good enough. The one who had to scrape and claw and fight just to be seen. Lily, No, she cut me off. Don't pretend you understand. You don't. You never have. You grew up with parents who loved you, teachers who praised you, friends who supported you. I grew up with a father who told me I'd never amount to anything and a mother who looked through me like I was invisible. I didn't have a safety net. I had to build everything myself. And if I had to break a few rules to do it, so be it. Something about her voice broke. For just a second, I saw the girl underneath all the armor. The scared, lonely girl who'd learned that the only way to survive was to attack first. That I remembered our childhood differently. I remembered her laughing at me when I fell off my bike. I remembered her telling my secrets to the whole school. I remembered her stealing my birthday presents and pretending they'd gotten lost. But I also remembered her crying in the bathroom at our grandmother's funeral, alone, because she didn't want anyone to see her vulnerable. I remembered her sleeping over at my house when her father was too drunk to drive her home. I remembered her holding my hand when I got my first period and felt like my body was betraying me. I remembered her being my sister, my confidant, my protector. And I remembered what she did to me anyway. How do you sleep at night? I asked, and the question came out softer than I intended. Very well, she said. I don't lose sleep over things I can't change. Losing sleep would require a conscience. She flinched, and I felt a sting of satisfaction. But it was fleeting, drowned out by something that felt dangerously like pity. You want to know what I think? I said, walking past her to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water and leaned against the counter. I think you've convinced yourself that you're a survivor. I think you've told yourself so many times that you're a victim that you actually believe it. And I think, deep down, you know it's not true. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you've been running your entire life. Running from your father. Running from your mother. Running from yourself. And you've never stopped long enough to figure out who you actually want to be. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. For a moment I thought she might actually say something real. Something honest, but then she laughed. Wow, she said. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. You should put that in your acceptance speech when you win Employee of the Month. I put down my glass. Get out. What? Get out. I don't want you in this apartment. I don't want you anywhere near me. She looked around the kitchen at the dishes in the sink, the towels on the rack, the mail on the counter. This is my apartment too. You can't make me leave. You're right, I said. I can't. But I can call the police. I have evidence of identity theft. I have evidence of fraud. I have evidence of harassment. And I will use every single piece of it to make sure you never come near me again. She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw something new in her eyes. Not fear. Not anger. Something closer to recognition. Like she was seeing me for the first time. This is the real you, isn't it? She said softly. Not the sweet little cousin. Not the victim. This is who you've always been. Maybe, I said. Maybe I just didn't know it until I had to. She nodded slowly, almost approvingly. Well, congratulations. You won. I didn't win anything. I just stopped losing. She laughed again, but this time it wasn't bitter or sharp. It was sad. You can keep the apartment. I'll find a new place. I'll disappear from your life just like you want. But you need to know something. What? You're not better than me. You're just smarter. And smarter doesn't last forever. One day someone smarter will come along. And they'll take everything you have, just like you took everything from me. I walked toward her, stopping inches from her face. Lily, look at me. She looked. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her cheeks splotchy. She looked nothing like the polished, perfect woman who'd walked into my room with 2 glasses of wine. I didn't take anything from you, I said. You threw it all away yourself. You had everything. Intelligence, charm, opportunity. And you threw it away because you couldn't stand the thought of anyone else having anything. She opened her mouth to argue, but I put my hand up. Don't, I said. Don't. You can spend the rest of your life blaming everyone else for your failures. You can keep telling yourself that you were forced into every terrible decision you ever made. Or you can grow up. You can actually try to be a decent person. And maybe, just maybe, you can earn back some of the trust you've lost. She blinked. You're giving me a chance. I'm giving you nothing. You earn what you get. Remember you wanted to teach me that lesson. Now you get to learn it too. She walked toward the door. She was leaving. She was actually leaving. I called her name as she reached for the handle. Lily. You know what my biggest regret is? She turned. What? That I ever believed you were my friend. That I ever let you in. That I ever gave you the chance to hurt me. She flinched again. And this time, I watched a single tear slide down her cheek, but then she turned away, wiped her eye with the back of her hand, and walked out the door. I heard her footsteps fade down the hallway. I heard the elevator door open and close. I heard the garage door rumble to life, and the sound of her sedan pulling out of the lot. And then I was alone. I walked to my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed. The room was suddenly too quiet. The air was too still. Everything felt like it was spinning around me, and I was the only fixed point in the universe. I opened my laptop and stared at the offer letter from Harlow and Witt. My future was right there, in black and white, waiting for me to claim it. And yet I scrolled down and found a folder I'd created a long time ago, one I'd never opened. Old memories. I clicked through the photos. Lily and me at the beach, our arms around each other, our faces sunburned and happy. Lily and me at my college graduation, her holding my diploma while I fixed my cap. Lily and me in the kitchen, baking cookies for our mother's birthday, flour all over our faces. There were so many good memories. So many moments when she'd been exactly who I needed her to be. And I'd lost all of that. Maybe forever. I closed the folder and opened a new document. I stared at the blinking cursor for a long time. Then I started typing. Dear Lily, you're never going to read this. You're never going to know that I wrote it. But I need to get it out of my head. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for giving up on you. I'm sorry for letting my anger and my pain overshadow everything we used to be. I'm sorry for believing that you were only a villain. But I can't go back. I can't undo what you did. I can't pretend like it didn't happen. All I can do is move forward. All I can do is try to build something better for myself. And I hope that one day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can move forward too. I hope you find a way to be happy. A way that doesn't require breaking anyone else. Asterisk asterisk because despite everything I still love you. Asterisk asterisk you're my cousin. And no matter what you did, you'll always be part of my story. Asterisk I didn't send the letter. I saved it in a folder and closed my laptop. And then I started planning for Monday. That Monday morning arrived cold and sharp, the kind of dawn that felt like a slap. Ide barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lily's face at the door, that single tear sliding down her cheek, and I felt the weight of everything we'd lost pressing down on my chest. But I got up. I showered. I put on my best blazer, the one I'd bought with my first freelance paycheck, the one that made me feel like I could walk into any room and own it. I straightened my hair, applied my lipstick, and stared at myself in the mirror until I recognized the woman looking back at me. She was scared, but she was ready. The subway ride to the financial district was a blur of anonymous faces and muffled announcements. I kept my headphones in but didn't play any music. I needed to hear the world around me. I needed to feel the vibration of the tracks beneath my feet, the shuffle of commuters, the distant hum of the city waking up. I needed to remind myself that this was real. Harlow and Witt's tower loomed over the intersection like a glass monolith, reflecting the gray sky back at itself. I stood outside for a long moment, my hand on the revolving door, my heart hammering against my ribs. This was the building that had broken me in my previous life. This was the place where I'd watched Lily take everything I'd worked for. This was the scene of my greatest humiliation, and now I was walking through the front door as an employee. The lobby was all marble and brass and the scent of expensive perfume. Security checked my ID, gave me a temporary badge, and directed me to the elevators. I rode up to the 27th floor with a group of other new hires, all of us trying too hard to look casual, all of us failing. The doors opened onto a sea of cubicles, and the low hum of phones ringing. I stepped out and felt the floor vibrate beneath my heels. Somewhere in the distance, a printer churned out pages. Somewhere closer, a voice laughed. I found my desk in the corner, tucked between a window overlooking the river and a filing cabinet that looked like it hadn't been opened in years. A little nameplate sat at the edge. Jenna Chun, summer analyst. I touched it with my fingers. It was warm, like it had been waiting for me. I sat down and logged into my computer. My email inbox was already full. Welcome messages, onboarding documents, meeting invitations. I started reading, answering, organizing. I fell into the rhythm of work like I'd been doing it for years. Because in a way, I had the first few days were a blur of orientation sessions and team lunches and endless paperwork. I met my supervisor, a sharp-eyed woman named Diane who didn't smile much but nodded approvingly when I answered her questions without hesitation. I met my fellow interns, a mix of eager-eyed graduates and nervous career changers. I met the partners, the associates, the administrative assistants who kept the whole machine running. And I waited for Lily to show up. I waited for her to walk through the doors with that smug smile, ready to claim what she thought was hers. I waited for the moment when HR would call me into a conference room and tell me there'd been a mix-up in the hiring process. But the moment never came. By Wednesday, I started to relax. I started to believe that maybe, just maybe, I'd actually won. On Thursday, I got an email from Marcus Chen. Jenna, good work so far. Diane tells me you're ahead of schedule on the market analysis. Keep it up. Also, I heard something you might want to know. Your cousin Lily has been calling around. She's been telling people she's your sister and asking about your employment status. I thought you should be aware. I stared at the screen until the words blurred together. She'd been calling around. She'd been pretending to be my sister. She'd been trying to find out if I was really working here. She hadn't given up. I typed back. Thanks for the heads up. I'll handle it. I closed the email and leaned back in my chair. The view from the window was stunning. The river snaking through the city like a silver ribbon. But I couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't enjoy anything. She was still there. She was still circling. She was still trying to take what I'd built. That night, I got home to find a box on my doorstep. No return address. No note. Just a plain cardboard box, taped shut with industrial-strength packing tape. I carried it inside and set it on the kitchen table. My hands were shaking as I cut through the tape. Inside was a single manila folder. On the front in Sharpie, copy. I opened it. It was Lily's spreadsheet. The one with my name at the top. The one with the columns for vulnerabilities and exploits. The one with the plans to destroy my reputation. But it had been updated. New entries had been added. New targets. New vulnerabilities. And at the bottom, a new column. Evidence. There were dates, times, places. There were screenshots of my fake emails. There were photos of me meeting Marcus Chun in the coffee shop. There were records of my burner phone purchases, that she'd been documenting everything. She'd been building a case against me, not just to destroy me, but to protect herself. If I ever went after her, she could release all of this and make me look just as guilty. I dropped the folder on the table and stared at it. She'd been playing chess this whole time. She'd been planning for the possibility that I would push back. She'd been building an insurance policy, and now she'd sent it to me as a warning. I was about to call her when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Hello, Jenna. It's Lily. I almost hung up, but something in her voice made me pause. It was quiet, tired, unlike the sharp, confident woman I'd known. What do you want? I want to talk. Can I come over? Absolutely not. Jenna, please. There was something in her voice I'd never heard before. A tremor. A vulnerability. I know you hate me. I know you have every right to. But I need to tell you something. And I need to say it to your face. I closed my eyes. I thought about the box on the table. I thought about the spreadsheet and the screenshots and the evidence she'd collected. Fine, I said. But you get 5 minutes. And if you try anything, I won't. I promise. I'm coming over. She hung up before I could respond. 20 minutes later, I heard the knock. I opened the door to find Lily standing there, looking nothing like the polished woman I'd seen last week. Her hair was unwashed and pulled back in a messy bun. Her eyes were puffy, her lips chapped. She was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt that had seen better days. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. I brought wine, she said, holding up a bottle of cheap red. I know you don't drink the stuff I like, but this is the only thing I had. I took the bottle and set it on the counter. I didn't open it. Come in, I said. But you're on the clock. She walked in and sat at the kitchen table, her hands folded in her lap. I sat across from her, keeping the table between us like a barrier. Say what you need to say, I said as she took a deep breath. I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About what you said. About what I did. She paused, her fingers twitching against her thighs. And you were right. I blinked. What? You were right about all of it. The things I told myself. The things I believed. The way I blamed everyone else for my problems. She looked up, her eyes wet. I've been lying to myself my whole life. And I didn't realize it until you said it out loud. I didn't know what to say. I'd prepared for screaming, for accusations, for more manipulation. I hadn't prepared for this. I spent the last few days going through everything, she continued. Every email I sent. Every lie I told. Every person I hurt. And I realized, I don't even know who I am. I don't know what's real, and what's just something I made up to survive. Lily, I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said quickly. I know I don't deserve that. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to tell you the truth. For once. Before I disappear. Disappear? I leaned forward. What do you mean? She shrugged, a broken little gesture. I can't stay here. I can't keep pretending I'm going to make it in this city. I've burned too many bridges. I've hurt too many people. There's nothing left for me here. I looked at her, really looked. At the dark circles under her eyes. At the way her hands trembled. At the hollow look in her face. She wasn't lying. This wasn't a performance. This was real. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know. Maybe go back home. Stay with our aunt for a while. Figure out what I actually want. She laughed, a broken sound. For the first time in my life, I have no plan. I stood up and walked to the counter. I opened the wine bottle and poured 2 glasses. I set one in front of her and sat back down with my own. Drink, I said as she looked at the glass like it might bite her. Are you trying to poison me? If I wanted to poison you, I'd use something faster. Drink. She took a sip. I took a sip. The wine was cheap and sweet, the kind of thing you bought at a convenience store when you had $7 and a broken heart. I'm going to be honest with you, I said. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I don't know if I can ever forget what you did. But I also don't think you're a monster. She looked up, startled. I think you're a person who made terrible choices, I continued. I think you're a person who was so scared of losing everything that you convinced yourself you had to take everything. And I think that if you actually try, you might be able to change. You really believe that? I don't know. But I want to believe it. I want to believe that people can be better. That they can learn from their mistakes. I paused. And I want to believe that you can be better too. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she started to cry. Not the controlled tears she'd shed at the door. Not the fake tears she'd used to manipulate me. Real ugly messy tears that made her face red and blotchy. The kind of tears you can't fake. I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't change anything. I know it doesn't fix what I did. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I didn't reach out to comfort her. I wasn't ready for that. But I didn't look away either. I know, I said. And maybe someday I'll be able to accept that. But not today. She nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve. I know. I know. We sat in silence for a long time, sipping our cheap wine, letting the weight of everything we'd said settle between us. Then she asked, "What do we do now?" I thought about the question. I thought about all the plans I'd made, all the revenge I'd plotted, all the energy I'd spent hating her. And I realized I was tired. So tired. We move forward, I said. Separately. You figure out who you want to be. And I figure out who I want to be. And maybe someday, when we're both in better places, we can try to be in each other's lives again. She nodded slowly. That's fair. But you need to know something, I added. If you ever try to hurt me again, I won't, she cut me off. I swear. I'll stay away. I'll give you space. I'll never do anything like that again. Good. We finished our wine. She stood up and walked toward the door. Before she left, she turned back to me. Jenna. What? You're going to be amazing at that job. I always knew you would be. You're smarter than me. You're more talented than me. And you're a better person than I'll ever be. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just nodded. She walked out the door. And this time, when I heard her footsteps fade down the hallway, I didn't feel relief or triumph or satisfaction. I felt something else. Something that felt a lot like hope. The next week, I threw myself into my work. I stayed late every night, diving into spreadsheets and data sets and market analyses. I learned the names of everyone in my department. I learned the coffee orders of the partners. I learned the shortcuts on the office computers and the best lunch spots within walking distance. I was building a life for myself. A real life. One that didn't depend on anyone else's approval or validation. On Friday, Diane called me into her office. Jenna, she said, leaning back in her chair. I've been watching you. You're doing excellent work. Thank you. Marcus speaks highly of you. And I can see why. You have a good instinct for this kind of analysis. You don't just follow instructions, you anticipate needs. That's rare. I felt a warmth spread through my chest. I really appreciate that, Diane. Don't thank me yet. I'm giving you a bigger project. The Chun Group acquisition. We need someone to handle the preliminary valuation. It's a lot of work. It's going to require late nights and weekends. Think you can handle it? I nodded. I'm ready. Good. I'll send you the files. She paused. And Jenna, welcome to the team. I walked out of her office with a smile on my face. I had a project. A real project. Something that mattered. I was on my way. But even as I celebrated, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Something was still unresolved. Lily hadn't called. She hadn't texted. She hadn't sent any more boxes or folders or warnings. She'd kept her promise. She'd stayed away. And yet I opened my email and found a message from a name I didn't recognize. Emily Walsh. The subject line said, "Regarding your cousin." I opened it. Dear Ms. Chan. I'm writing to inform you that I've recently become aware of some concerning behavior from your cousin Lily Chan. She has been contacting several of my colleagues and attempting to spread false information about your employment status. I wanted to make you aware of this so you can take appropriate action. Best, Emily Walsh My blood went cold. I scrolled down to the bottom of the email. There was an attachment. A PDF. I opened it. It was a letter. A letter she'd sent to several partners at Harlow and Witt. A letter accusing me of fraud, identity theft, and misrepresentation of credentials. But this letter was different from the one she'd sent before. This one was addressed to specific individuals. It listed specific allegations. It included specific pieces of evidence. And at the bottom, there was a signature. Not hers. Mine. She'd forged my signature. She'd made it look like I was the one who'd sent the complaint. She'd made it look like I was trying to sabotage my own career. My head was spinning. I didn't understand what was happening. I thought she'd given up. I thought she'd changed. I thought she was trying to be better. But she was still playing games. She was still lying. She was still trying to destroy me. And this time, she'd taken it to a whole new level. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. I texted her. No response. I called her from a different number. Nothing. She was gone. She'd disappeared. And she'd left me holding the bag. I stared at the letter on my screen. The forged signature staring back at me like a challenge. I'd thought I'd won. I'd thought the war was over. But she'd just been waiting. She'd just been planning her final move. And now I had to figure out how to survive it. The forged letter sat on my screen like a bomb waiting to detonate. I read it 3 times, 4 times, each pass making my stomach churn harder. She'd used my phrasing, my cadence, my signature. She'd studied me so carefully that she could mimic my voice on paper. That was the part that hurt the most. That was the part that made me feel like I'd never really known her at all. I closed my laptop and sat in the dark of my bedroom. The city lights flickered through the blinds, casting stripes across the walls. My phone buzzed with emails and notifications, the normal hum of my new life. And I ignored all of it. She'd played me. She'd come to my apartment with her cheap wine and her real tears and her confession, and she'd played me. She'd made me believe she was changing. She'd made me believe there was hope. And then she'd gone behind my back and done the one thing she knew would destroy me. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The tears were too far down, buried under layers of rage and exhaustion and a bone-deep weariness that made me feel like I was 100 years old. At 3 a.m, I got up and made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall. I thought about what I was going to do. I could call Marcus. I could forward him the email from Emily Walsh and the forged letter and tell him everything. I could let him handle it, let HR investigate, let them sort out the truth from the lies. But that would take time. That would take credibility. And in the meantime, the letter would be circulating. In the meantime, the partners would be reading my forged confession. I could call the police. I could report identity theft and fraud. I could press charges and watch Lily get dragged through the legal system. But that would be public. That would be messy. That would make me look like the victim. And I'd spent too long being a victim to go back to that role. Now that I could do nothing. I could wait and see what happened. I could hope that the letter would be dismissed as the obvious forgery it was. But hope was a luxury I couldn't afford. I opened my laptop and stared at the PDF again. I zoomed in on the signature. It was close. Scarily close. But there were differences. A slight tremor in the J. A loop that curved just a little too far to the left. Small things that only I would notice. And that was my answer. I opened a new email and started typing. I asterisk to hr@harlowwitt.com asterisk cc. Diane.rodriguez@harlowwitt.com. Marcus.chin@harlowwitt.com asterisk subject. Formal complaint regarding forgery and defamation asterisk Dear Harlow and Witt HR team. Asterisk. It has come to my attention that a letter bearing my signature and making false allegations has been circulated among several partners. This letter is a forgery. I did not write it, I did not sign it, and I do not endorse its contents. Asterisk. I am attaching documentation that proves this letter was not sent from my email address, was not drafted on any of my devices, and does not match my writing style or communication patterns. Asterisk. I am also attaching evidence that my cousin Lily Chin has a history of impersonating me and making false statements about my employment status. Or asterisk, I request a full investigation into this matter. I am willing to cooperate fully and provide any additional information needed. Sincerely, Jenna Chen I attached the evidence. The keylogger logs, the screenshots of her dark webmail account, the camera footage of her taking photos of my laptop. I attached the email from Emily Walsh, the spreadsheet, everything I'd collected over the past weeks. I hit send and waited. Diane's reply came within an hour. Jenna, come to my office at 8 a.m. We need to talk. I showered and dressed and walked to the office through streets that were still dark. The city was quiet, the kind of quiet that only exists before the world wakes up. I passed homeless people bundled in sleeping bags and delivery drivers unloading produce. And a single jogger who smiled at me like he didn't know I was walking toward a war. I sat in Diane's office at 7:58 a.m. She walked in at 8:02, coffee in hand, her face unreadable. I read your email, she said, sitting down across from me. And I read the letter that was circulating. I didn't write it, I said. I need you to know that. I didn't write it and I didn't send it and I didn't endorse any of its contents. I know you didn't, she said simply. I blinked. She leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. Jenna, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen a lot of young people come through these doors. I've seen ambitious kids, lazy kids, brilliant kids, kids who couldn't tie their own shoes. But I've never seen a kid who would send a letter like that to her own colleagues. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit anything I've seen from you. You believe me. I believe in patterns. And your pattern is hard work and integrity. That letter reads like someone who doesn't know you at all. She paused. Someone who knows you well enough to mimic your voice, but not well enough to get the details right. I felt something loosen in my chest. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We still have to investigate. But I wanted you to know that I'm not taking this at face value. I nodded. What happens next? HR is going to do a full investigation. They're going to look at the evidence you provided. They're going to interview everyone who received the letter. It's going to take time. But in the meantime, your employment status is unchanged. You're still on the team. You're still working on the Chen Group acquisition. I can do that. I know you can. She smiled, a rare thing. Now go get to work. And try not to let this get in your head. I walked out of her office feeling lighter, but only a little. The investigation would take time. In that time, rumors would spread. People would talk. Some would believe the letter. Some would assume I was guilty. Some would look at me with suspicion every time I walked past their desks. That I had to prove myself all over again. And I had to do it while carrying the weight of everything Lily had done. The next few weeks were a blur of late nights and early mornings and endless cups of coffee. I threw myself into the acquisition project, working harder than I'd ever worked in my life. I stayed until midnight, sometimes later, running numbers and building models and double-checking every single calculation. I made myself indispensable. I made myself irreplaceable. Diane noticed. Marcus noticed. The partners noticed. And slowly, the whispers started to fade. The rumors started to die. People started to see me as a colleague, not a liability. I was winning. I was really truly winning. And then Lily came back. I found her waiting outside my apartment one night, sitting on the steps with a duffel bag at her feet. She looked worse than before, if that was possible. Her hair was greasy, her eyes hollow, her clothes wrinkled. She was shaking, either from cold or fear or something else. Jenna, she said, standing up as I approached. I need to talk to you. I stopped a few feet away. You have a lot of nerve showing up here. I know. Her voice was small. I know I have no right. But I need you to listen. Please. Just for a few minutes. I stared at her. I thought about the forged letter, the pain she'd caused, the weeks of work I'd had to do to rebuild my reputation. I thought about the tears in her eyes at my kitchen table. The ones I'd believed were real. But I also thought about the way she'd looked at me that night. The way she'd said she was sorry. The way she'd sounded like she meant it. 1 minute. I said. Start talking. She took a shaky breath. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. I thought I could get away with everything. I thought I could just disappear and start over. But I can't. I can't because I've ruined my own life and I don't know how to fix it. What kind of trouble? I've been kicked out of my apartment. I've been fired from my job. I've been blacklisted from every firm in the city. And now? She looked down at her hands. Now there's a warrant out for my arrest. A warrant? What are you talking about? Identity theft, she said. Forgery. Fraud. The stuff I did to you, I did it to other people too. A lot of other people. And they caught me. They all caught me at once. I felt the blood drain from my face. You've been stealing people's identities. How long? Years, she whispered. Since college. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was protecting myself. I thought if I had enough backups, enough escape routes, I'd never get caught. She laughed, a hollow sound. I was wrong. I didn't know what to say. I'd known she was manipulative. I'd known she was selfish. But this was something else. This was criminal. This was the kind of thing that could put her in prison. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why are you here? Because I don't have anyone else. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. I know I don't deserve your help. I know I've done terrible things. But you're the only person who's ever seen me. The real me. And I need you to see me now. Lily. I'm not asking you to save me, she said quickly. I'm not asking you to fix this. I need someone to know. I need someone to tell me that it's okay to be scared. I need someone to hold my hand while I figure out what I'm supposed to do. I looked at her. The cool, collected, calculating woman I'd known was gone. In her place was this broken girl who'd made terrible choices and was finally paying for them. Do you have a lawyer? I asked. I have a public defender. She's not great, but she's all I can afford. Come inside, I said. You can sleep on the couch tonight. In the morning, we'll figure out what to do. She followed me inside, carrying her duffel bag like it was the last thing she owned. I gave her a blanket and a pillow and a glass of water. She sat on the couch, wrapped in the blanket, looking small and lost. Thank you, she said. I know I don't deserve this. Probably not, I agreed. But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. Because if I turned you away, I'd be no better than you were. She flinched but didn't argue. I went to bed and stared at the ceiling for hours. I thought about everything she'd told me. I thought about the warrant, the charges, the years of lies. I thought about the person she'd become and the person she might have been. And I thought about myself. The choices I'd made. The things I'd done. The line I'd drawn in the sand. I fell asleep just before dawn the next morning. I called Marcus. I need to ask you a favor, I said. My cousin is in legal trouble. Identity theft, forgery, fraud. I'm not asking you to fix it, but I need to know if there's anyone at the firm who might be able to give her advice. There was a long silence. Jenna, that's a conflict of interest. You know that. I know. I'm not asking you to do anything unethical. I'm just asking if you know anyone who could point her in the right direction. A good attorney. Someone who might be able to help her without destroying her completely. Give me a few hours, he said. I'll see what I can do. He called back later that day with a name and a number. I gave it to Lily. I'm not doing this for you, I said. I'm doing this because I need to be able to live with myself. She nodded. I know. The weeks that followed were strange and uncomfortable. Lily stayed on my couch, sleeping late and eating my food and existing in my space like a ghost. She was quiet, subdued, nothing like the vibrant, manipulative woman I'd known. She went to her attorney appointments. She talked to the public defender. She started making calls, trying to find work, trying to salvage something from the wreckage of her life. And slowly, I started to see something I hadn't expected that she was trying. She was actually trying. One night, I came home to find her sitting at the kitchen table, a notebook open in front of her. She was writing something, her hand moving across the page in careful script. What are you doing? I asked. Writing a letter, she said. Apologies. To everyone I hurt. I want to send them before I plead guilty. I want them to know I'm sorry. Plead guilty, she nodded. I can't fight this. I don't have the money or the energy or the will to pretend I'm innocent. I did what I did. I need to own that. I sat down across from her. That's going to put you in prison. I know. She looked up at me. But maybe that's what I need. A chance to start over. A chance to be someone different. I can't do that if I'm still pretending I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't know what to say to that. So I reached across the table and took her hand as she squeezed it. Hard. The trial was short. Lily pleaded guilty to all charges. The judge gave her 3 years with the possibility of parole after 18 months. I went to the sentencing hearing. I sat in the back of the courtroom and watched them lead her away in handcuffs. She didn't look back. She walked with her head high, her shoulders straight, like she was finally ready to face the consequences of everything she'd done. I went home that night and sat in the empty apartment. The silence was overwhelming. The space that had been filled with her presence for weeks was now hollow and cold. I was alone again. Really alone. But it didn't feel the way I'd expected. It didn't feel like relief or triumph or satisfaction. Felt like something else. Something I couldn't quite name. The next day, Diane called me into her office. "The investigation is closed," she said. "We've concluded that the letter was a forgery. Your record is clear. You've been fully exonerated." I nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. You did the work. You provided the evidence. You made it impossible for us to believe the lies." She paused. "I also wanted to tell you that the partners are impressed with your work on the Chun Group acquisition. They've decided to extend you a full-time offer." I blinked. "Full-time, starting after the internship ends. You'll be working directly under me. If you want it." I felt the world tilt. A full-time offer. A real job. A future. "I want it," I said. "More than anything." "Good." She smiled. "Now get out of my office. You've got work to do." I walked back to my desk in a daze. I sat down and stared at my computer screen. The acquisition project was still open. The emails were still piling up. The world was still spinning. And I was still here. Still standing. I opened my email and started typing. "Dear Lily, I don't know when you'll get this. I don't know if they'll let you read it. But I wanted to tell you that I went to the trial. I saw you plead guilty. I saw you take responsibility for everything you did. I'm proud of you." That's a strange thing to say, I know. You did terrible things. You hurt people. You hurt me. But you also did something I never thought you'd do. You told the truth. You faced the consequences. You stopped running. I don't know what happens after this. I don't know if you'll be okay. I don't know if we'll ever be okay. But I want you to know that I'm rooting for you. I want you to come out of this and be the person you were always supposed to be. I'll be here. When you're ready. Love, Jenna. I sent the email and closed my laptop. I leaned back in my chair and looked out the window at the city below. The river was still there, winding through the buildings like a silver ribbon. The sky was still gray, the clouds still heavy with rain. Everything was exactly the same as it had been on my first date. But I was different. I was no longer the scared girl who'd woken up in a damp spare room with a second chance she didn't know what to do with. I was no longer the victim of my cousin's schemes. I was no longer defined by what she'd done to me or what I'd done in response. I was just me, Jenna Chun, the woman who'd survived, the woman who'd thrived, the woman who'd finally, at long last, found a way to be free. I turned back to my computer and started my work. There were spreadsheets to run and models to build and deadlines to meet. There was a future to build, a career to nurture, a life to live. And for the first time in 2 lives, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I was looking forward.